who have I got on a level above me? Because as the queen, I'm not higher than anybody else. As the queen, I recognize we are all in balance.
Welcome to Bear Lifestyle, the podcast where we talk about taboo topics to make them normal and acceptable. I'm your host, Simona Spark, and I am so excited that you are here. We are about to get naked by stripping away insecurities, judgments, and all kinds of limitations to reveal the essence of who we really are Bear. Bold, authentic, radical, and fully expressed. Let's begin. I'm celebrating myself for being here. I'm celebrating our guest here today, Soochen. Did I say it right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Soochen.
Okay. And I'm celebrating everyone who listens to this and watches this. So cheers, cheers.
Cheers. There you go. Love it.
In this conversation, we decided, since everybody that's been here before, or if you're here for the first time, as the intro promo says, this is a space where we want to address taboo topics. I particularly, this time in my life, I really like to dive deeper into authenticity. What is it to be a woman, a human, sexuality, kinks, BDSM practices, all the things that up until now we've been told that we are not allowed to have. So in this conversation, having our beautiful guest today coming from a place of, in her work, empowering people to how to get back their power, how to create abundance for themselves without depending on anybody else's, right? We just want to tie those two together and go underneath of everything. Probably we're going to tie more into what worthiness is, like being into a place where we don't feel worthy of having the life that we are dreaming, or the power that we desire, or the money that we want, and how to create that. So before we even jump in, as always, please open the show notes and find all the links that you could find that are attached to this conversation. So you could follow our guest and connect with her if her energy and what she's talking resonates with you, and so on. So here we are. How are you feeling about this?
Oh, I'm excited. Very excited. This is a fantastic opportunity. I think, we as women need to speak up more often. And, a lot of things we feel like, no, we shouldn't say it. We can't say it because of X, Y, and Z. And I think the more we speak up makes women feel not so alone. Yes.
Right. I mean, you are talking with someone that I've been low to zero multiple times in my life. And I got into a point where I have to look and recognize the pattern, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I will be very curious, as people here that follow me for a while know my perspective. I'll be more curious to hear your perspective of how one, just imagine that somebody's here watching and listening, how that person could move from the bottom of her or his life to like really take a breath of fresh air and move towards the directions of the dreams that they are having.
What a great question. And, obviously so much depth to it.
Yeah, we need 17 hours for that answer, right?
Exactly. Right. I mean, gosh, I would say, because from my point as and I resonate with you, Simona, through my life journey, I'm now 48. So at 48, you could say, what, we've got another 50 years if we look after ourselves well. It's like through this 48 years, I would say there has been many low points. So some of bigger scales, some of lower scales. So, for my perspective, the biggest scale one would have been a 10-year abusive marriage. And only realizing at the tail end that, oh, this is one big fat lie that I've married into. And the person I thought he wasn't who he was. And that was when I had to make a decision to say, what is it that I want? Right? Because when we are all at a low point, we are in a very dark place, right? We have a dark place. And it could be that you are suffering from an illness, or you have something in your business that's not working. It's something dark, and you're trying to go into the light. So for us to transition, and everybody's life path or trajectory is different, in order to give an answer that kind of helps everybody navigate, so to speak, is to say, well, we need to make a decision. It's like we need to recognize where I'm at. Is it great? Do I love it or not? Right?
Yeah. So recognize this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
Have a question, do I like it or do I not?
Yeah.
And then make the decision. Do I stay here
Exactly.
or do I get out of here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yep.
to give you an example, in my case, I came to the point where I realized, 10 years I've worked really hard, because the issue with my ex-husband was he was a narcissist, and he enjoyed my financial power, but he wanted all my financial power to go to him. So he minimized my power about myself, while at the same time hounding me to keep supplying him with money, constantly saying you're not making enough, and yet I was making a lot for him. So this is what they do. They minimize your power whilst, enjoying your power, right? So that you can always be the obedient slave and the servant girl to them forever. So when I came to the point and realized, money is not the problem, because when we grow our business to 7 figures, he was still not happy. I broke the ceiling for my coaching business to 6 figures, and I landed a 20K client. I thought this has got to be it. And he was saying, I think they must be blind to pay you that kind of money. So it was then when I realized, it's not how much, it's not when it comes, it's not how it comes. So money's not the problem, even though we always think money is the problem. I am not the problem, because for years I've been doing this and that and trying all sorts of ways, and has never worked. So it's obviously his agenda. So recognizing this is it. But then I go, all right, so what are my options now? Do I stay or do I go? But if I go, when I went to go, I would have no place to live, no money to speak for myself, because all my life I was, giving it for him, and obviously in our marriage. So I'm like, okay, I could be homeless. I've got homeless, no money. So I'm looking at the other option and comparing to where I am and going, well, what did I do? And I decided, you know what? Being homeless and no money has got to be better than what I'm suffering now. And that's,
I mean, I resonate with that because I chose that. I make that decision more than once. That's why I said, like, there is a pattern, and I'm sharing this, humbly, because I want to believe that I'm not that special. As I said, not the only one going through that. And might be people in our audience that says, I did this before. I did this before. We got to do the same thing over and over again. We recognize the pattern and recognize that we're just doing it at a different level.
Yes, absolutely.
And I want to circle back to your share, which, by the way, thank you so much for being so vulnerable to share with us part of your story. And I hear you when you say, I'm capable of doing things. I'm able of creating something from nothing, right?
Yeah, right.
And I hear you when you say, but this was his doing. I'm just curious in that particular moment, like, what do you feel, if you do, because maybe you don't, that has been your responsibility of allowing him to treat you like that? Because I think it's to take that responsibility as well, right? Because I do not see you as someone that is coming from victimhood, from
no.
So I'm just curious if you don't mind sharing, because I'm pretty sure that when we are there, and I've been there, when we are there, we don't see it, but on a high side, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I contribute to that.
Yes. And I love your question. It's very, very important. It's an important piece. So what happened is, yes, in hindsight, because as you say, it is a pattern. It is a pattern. And when I left the marriage, I kind of thought to myself, all right, what is the pattern here? Right? What is the pattern here? And I realized that the pattern, and really what I'm here to learn in this lifetime, is that from a very young age, I've learned to earn love and approval. Right? I mean, who hasn't really? Who hasn't? I mean, mum and dad, even with their best intentions, they learned it from their parents. So it's all been passed down. It's a generation thing. We all earn love and approval. So then obviously when after I left my home, and my next significant relationship after my parents what would I do? Earn love and approval, because I thought that was the way to go, right? Because that's
Yeah.
how I've been trained.
We only know what we know. We don't know what we don't
Exactly.
know.
Right. Until you meet with something different and then you learn something different. So, so, well, earning love and approval, you could say, well, not so bad if the people who you're earning love approval from are nice people and not taking your advantage of you. But then when you meet up with somebody who then has an agenda from the beginning, and there are those people. I never thought that there were those people, because obviously my mum and dad were very loving people, and I thought, and being very positive, and from a spiritual angle, I always believed and very optimistic that people are inherently good, and if you showered them with love and you treated them with compassion, somehow they're going to turn around. That's what I thought. But when I met my ex-husband, obviously I didn't realize. I trusted him, I loved him, all of that. So that pattern that came about was just not knowing of my worthiness. Like, I didn't know that, and this was my thing, that one of my wounds was that I never thought I was unique. I wanted to be special, but I thought I was normal. And the fact is that we are all unique in our own rights. And my business mentor actually said to me that you've been waiting for people to give you the right to be unique. You don't wait for permission, you just claim it. So because I've never claimed it, I was always earning to say, tell me that I'm good, show me that I'm special. So obviously, like I said earlier, being the servant girl, just begging for breadcrumbs. So that obviously would play out in my marriage. So my ex-husband, I'm not condoning him or making him a villain, but he is what he is. And in this taboo topic, I think it's very important that we name dark for what it is. If it's something is dark, we need to recognize, oh, that's dark and this is light. Because if we can't tell the difference, it's hard for us to make decisions. We're not judging people, but we're just saying, well, this is not loving and this is not aligned to me, right? They will have their own unique way of living life, and that's their business. But if it actually crosses over and hurts me, then there is a misalignment there, and that is not okay. So that's the pattern. Yeah. So because of this pattern, I allowed him. I gave him permission to treat me this way. Yes. Until I realized, oh, this is not okay. This is not called love. This is not called, they always say, I'm doing it for your own good. No, this is not what it is. So that's why I spent 10 years trying to work out all the nuances, because in society, we say when you get married, you want to give your all to your husband. You're there to look after him. You want to be loving. You want to be compassionate. I was in a 10-year marriage thinking, okay, am I being selfish when I'm not liking this? Am I being demanding when I say this is not right?
Thank you for saying that, because these are the words and you'll nail it. It's what we learn, especially women, right? If I send boundaries, I'm demanding or bossy, which they're like, bad, do not do that, right? If I'm asking for things, means I'm ungrateful and greedy, right? So if I stand up for myself, it's just like being rude or disconsiderate, or all kind of BS left and right?
Exactly.
So unfortunately, I will dare to say for our generations, because I have so much hope for the next generation, like just
Me too.
looking at my kid, how he sees the world and how he handles himself. I'm like, oh my God, there is so much hope in the future, right? But
Yes.
at least in our generation, also, I think we are so fortunate that we got into a space where it's like, okay, actually, you're talking about seeing the dark and bringing the light. Actually, we are holding the switch, and we do whatever the hell we need to do to get into a point where we could actually flip the switch and put the light on that dark and say, okay, I went through what I went through. I will no longer complain about it.
Yeah.
I have no need to blame on anybody.
No.
That was like, I actually get to be grateful for all the shit that happened to me, because that put me on this path.
Exactly.
And now that's how I get the power back to actually be honest, transparent, and vulnerable with all about my flaws, about my I don't know, limiting beliefs and stuff, but
Yeah.
I do have the power to course correct, because as you
Yes.
say, I still have another 5 decades to live, and I want to live
Yeah.
like fully and authentically and joyfully as much as I can, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I'm curious. Okay, let's say this, and we understand coaching is that doesn't happen in 2 minutes, but let's say somebody walking into your room and say, can you give me just like in 1 minute, can you give me like a framework, how to swap those words, how to eliminate some guilt? What can I do? Because I don't have
Mm.
money to invest into a mentor, and I don't have access to retreats and stuff. It's just I need something to start with
Mm.
to gain some personal power.
Right. Right. Hmm. Let's see. That's an interesting question. I think first of all, the audience first needs to know that they are worthy. First of all, they need to know that. All right. Now, worthy is not something, as I said earlier, that somebody gives to you. You've got to claim it. And so, with my women in my program, we first get them to crown themselves. So, in my second book, where I said the year I crowned myself non-linear queen of magic, wealth, and abundance, I crowned myself after I left the marriage, because I thought this is like a declaration that I've gained my power. As you said, I walked out, gained my power, not waiting for other people to name the day. I'll do it. And here I am. I claim my power. So to be able to claim that power, you need to first know you're worthy. But then if you're thinking, okay, but who am I to say that? Right? Is worthiness is just something that it's a fact. The fact that we are all here living alive in this existence is proof enough that you are worthy.
You are
Because
born, you're worthy. That's it.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You're born, you're worthy. Exactly. As my business mentor would say, you're a one-time cosmic event, right? There is no other person like you with not the same DNA life story. You are it. So you've made it here, somehow through the sperm and the womb, and that magic thing happened, and you're here. You made it through the gestation period. You got through all your teething problems, and you're alive. So that proves that you are worthy. Nothing else. We don't need anything else. That's it. You're worthy. So the fact is, first, if you are worthy, then, right, from that base point, we go, I'm worthy. We then need to, a very quick one tip, as you say, is to examine or start to be aware what story are you actually living or telling people, right? Because stories, we are run by stories all the
Yeah.
time.
We love stories and we love telling them over and over, and sometimes we forget that that's how we create a whole belief system around those stories. And in the same time, we actually get to change the story.
Exactly. And I want to kind of combine that story with this thing that I talk about, which is take blank off the pedestal. Now, all of us have something on a pedestal. Some of us have our business.
More than one thing.
Exactly. We have our mother-in-law, we have our kids, we have time, we have, relationships, your husband, whatever. So it's like, what have you actually got on a pedestal? So it's important to find out, okay, who have I got on a level above me? Because as the queen, I'm not higher than anybody else. As the queen, I recognize we are all in balance because we are all energy, right? So I'm not like that bitchy queen who, sits at the top and I'm mean to everybody. This queen, this sovereign queen is somebody who is in harmony with the universe, with everybody. So there's a balance there. So from that worthiness, from that balance, then can you say, oh, oops, I think somebody's a little bit higher over there. What's going on? So that's when we take them off. When we take it off, we then restore balance. And then we go, okay, so why was that person even on the pedestal? What story have I got running over there for them to be there? So maybe it was, oh, well, mum was up there because, well, mum was mum. And I've always looked up to mum. well, now maybe I'm a woman, mom's a woman, maybe we need to be, in balance with mom. And then when that neutralizes, that story almost becomes irrelevant, because it's like, whatever, it's like, last time I was a little girl, mom was up there. Now I'm a woman, mom's a woman. There's a balance. So then that old story no longer powers us. Now we can create a new story, right? And from that new story, everything in a way falls in place from that story. Yeah.
So beautiful. So beautiful. It's such a beautiful visual. I mean, I'm a visual learner, so I could see.
Yeah, me too.
So it's a very beautiful metaphor. Thank you for it. To look back and collect those past stories that not only no longer serve us, but no longer valid. They're not valid. As you beautifully give an example, is like, yeah, I was a little girl and I look up to mom, but now I'm a full grown woman. I don't have no reason to look up to mom, right?
No.
And what came for me when you described that, tiding back into the wordiness, was the fact that maybe, possibly, most likely, when we notice those imbalances, is to also look in and say, okay, where do I minimize myself?
Yeah.
Where do I chip a little bit out of my wordiness? Because what I'm seeing and how I'm feeling, it's a result of what was happening internally, right? That
Absolutely.
inner
Yeah.
conversation, the most important conversation, is the one you listen to all the time, is the
Yeah.
most important, and is the one that most people don't even pay attention to. They just
I know. Yes.
themselves with whatever.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I know it's tough. It takes courage to face up to that inner conversation. It really is tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit confronting.
To look in the mirror and actually see beyond the person in the mirror and like look in. It's, I could speak for myself, but also for people that I work with. Somehow, from some twisted way, it's easier to be honest with another person than being honest with self. And it's so twisted, and it's such a fine, like, this little belief that is running the show underneath the one that you were talking for the beginning is like, I just want to be a good girl. I just want to please you. I want you to be proud of me. I want you to accept me. And again, it's like, yeah, that was the case when you were 2 and 3 or 4, because adults around you need to introduce you to the world and show you how life works. But now, actually, you have the ability and capacity to learn on your own. Not only to learn, but to take everything out the roots and just create a new life.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
So I will put the links to your books, especially for the last book. Congratulations on your last book. Not the
Thank
last
you.
book,
Thank
the newest one, because this might not
yes,
be
thank
your
you.
last book.
Thank you. No.
And I'm just curious, like, if you will be to extract one thing, like why people should buy your book, what will be one thing that will be like, you have to read it because this is what you could learn? And of course, they could learn hundreds of things on those pages, but one thing that you think will serve in this conversation.
And you're talking about the latest one, yes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, let me think. Now, this latest book is actually the legacy project that was born from the ashes, so to speak. So after what I went through, because I realized, well, many women are minimized. And then through my work with my client, and it opened up the access to work with children. So children in schools, in high schools, and primary schools in Sydney, Australia here. And to date, I've worked with 60,000 students.
Oh,
so
wow.
I know. So I have worked closely with them through creative problem solving. So it's the creativity and just problem solving. But I've noticed that we as leaders, and I call each of us, parents, teachers, bosses, anybody, and you as a person leading your own life as leaders, we have unintentionally, in a way, role played the stories, the limiting stories, and our children have in a way just absorbed it. You know, just like we were absorbing the stories from our
Yeah.
parents. I've noticed through interacting with these students that when they hit the teenage years, which is about 12 or 13, they are starting to embody the limiting stories that I am not enough, I'm less than somebody else, I'm not smart enough, you know, money is the way, you know, if I have lots of money, that's it, I don't need to do anything else. So these are the stories when I hear them coming out of the mouth of these young children, young people, I am a little bit concerned because, like you, I would love us to, as women leaders, to shift our children out of these lives that we've been living, and to go into the new age, so to speak. So this book really talks about my journey, my reflections of my painful past, in contrast with healing when I was working with the children. And it allows women who, any woman who has a mission, a legacy, and a purpose to step into that, because it actually goes into the process of how I came to realize my mission and my legacy. So I think for any woman who has that, who needs some inspiration or even a process, you know, the evolution of how I came to that, I would urge them to read this book.
So beautiful. Well, thank you for putting that into the world. It's the most vulnerable thing. I
Mm.
published my memoir, and I know exactly
Yes, exactly.
how that felt, and not only how much it helped me, but the impact that has created, and still
Yes,
it's beyond any plan that I could have made back then. Right?
exactly, exactly. Totally. I totally
So
agree.
I think it's important to, for those of you that are in a position, because I hear this a lot, like, yeah, I would like to get a therapist or a coach, but I can't afford it. And the fees are so high and whatnot. Yes, they are, because we went through years of schooling, and we'll probably be in school for the rest of our life. And we read hundreds
Yes,
of books and all the things.
yes, yes.
But in the same time, like, yes, I know how it is to don't be in a financial situation that you could hire support, but
Yeah.
you could most likely purchase a book, right?
Yes,
That
yes,
if you really determine and you make that decision, then we talk at the
yes.
beginning, like, I want to shift life. Like, I was in Virginia in shelter with my kid with no documentation.
Wow.
What got me out of there, among many other things and people, was the first time when I pick up a self-help book.
Mm,
So if you hear and listen to this, and if this resonates, just click the link in the bio, purchase the book, and take it as, this is my therapy. I'm gonna
mm.
read it. I'm gonna see where I'm connecting with the story. I'm gonna
Yeah.
make my notes. I'm gonna answer to the questions, and I'm gonna, like, make the most out of it. I'm gonna allow this material to help me get out from where I'm at. Yeah.
I want to add to what you're saying. A lot of times I understand about these coaches because when I started, I couldn't hire, you know, my most expensive coach was 40,000. So
Mhm.
it's like I don't get to 40,000 straight off. I started with saving up money for a small program. But
Yeah.
that as long as you're determined, like I say, money is never the problem. Money is never a problem. As long as you decide this is what I'm doing and you're open to it, there's infinite possibilities of having that happen. A book, YouTube, right? And if you don't have a YouTube on your phone, then go to the library. Like there's so many free resources that you can detour to get to where you
Yeah.
want. Do not
Yeah.
let money be a block because
Yeah.
money goes where you go. Your power has to go first, money
Mhm.
will follow. But if your power is waiting for money, money will just sit back because money is waiting for your lead. So you've got to move first and money will come. Yeah.
You absolutely, like, move something in me when you said that, because I recognize that part of me. So, and
Mm-hmm.
that's to say is, we work through all those limitations, and we evolve and we expand, and we do good work in the world. We put good
Yes.
work. We are like having good intentions, and the work is never done. It
No.
always would be something like something that will pop up. Like I got few things coming through where you were talking. I'm like, oh damn, do I need to, I remember how that was? Or, oh, do I need to look this a little bit deeper?
Yeah.
So is, they say next level, next devil.
Yes, yes,
I
yes.
say next level, you the devil, because that's I'm a dominator. We are taking ourselves there. So, and it's
Yeah.
brave. And it's brave to be vulnerable, to show up in spaces like this and just share, to put our thoughts and experiences in life black on white for the whole world to read.
Mm.
And just to be grateful. I mean, gratitude of for these women that walk before us,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And
Right.
continue to walk before us. So we have so many leaders to look at, but also to put our crown on, says, while I'm following these queens, I'm also a queen and a leader for those that follow me.
Absolutely. And, I always think about the women like my grandmothers, our mothers who went through things. And I think, wow, I don't know if I could have done what they've done because, education was not so free then. Women's rights certainly wasn't. I think we live at that really optimum time now as women,
Oh my God, I'm so happy
right?
you said that. I keep saying is like, this is the best time to be in.
Uh-huh.
It's
Right.
mind blowing. I mean, I grew
I
up
know.
in communist Romania, and I touched a computer
Ah,
for the first time when I was 20. And it's like, that was not so long ago,
yeah.
and I remember when I flew with my kid to New Zealand. We live in New Zealand for a while, and he
Right.
was 14. And on that flight, I'm like, when I was 14, and I hate that,
Yeah.
when I was your age, right? But when I was 14, I, I just left from the country to the city.
Mm,
And it changed my life. And I'm
yeah.
looking at my kid, it's like, he visit I don't know how many countries. He has 2 citizenships. We go after the third one. And it's,
Wow.
man, and you're 14. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. But that said, we are here in this age, and it's the same thing, like, man, and I have
Yeah.
5 more decades to
I
live.
know. Exactly. It's exciting, isn't it? So
Yeah,
exciting.
yes,
So
yes.
exciting. And that's why I resonated with your podcast because I feel like women have the power to speak, but they either don't know it or don't claim it. Right?
Mhm.
They just need to know they are powerful. I mean, really, if we out of the two genders, I'm not trying to say men are less, but we give birth to men. We give birth to boys.
Yep.
So ultimately, we are the creation. We are the
Yeah.
creator, right?
Yeah.
So there's nothing we cannot do. Nothing.
I heard this somewhere, maybe I read it, but I was just talking about it with a man a week ago or so, and saying is like, this feminine power is freaking scary. It could be scary. And the way that I heard it and fully resonated with me is like, whatever you give to a woman, she's gonna give you back 100 times more.
I know.
For example, you give a woman a compliment and a nice word, she's gonna rock your brain all night, right? Well, you give a woman I don't know, a bad attitude, she's gonna create a freaking drama that you've never seen before, because that's what a woman does, amplify and multiply. You give
Yeah.
a woman an itty bitty tiny little semen, she's gonna put
Yeah.
a whole human in your arms in 9 months.
Yeah.
That's the power. So
Exactly.
we get to just step back for a second and say, holy mother,
Yeah. Right.
where am I putting my energy into? What
Mm.
am I doing with all this power?
Yeah. Yeah. And
And I
that's
want to
that's why
thank you for bringing that, because I here to recognize that I still have some power that I didn't tap into. And this conversation, it really brought it up for me. So thank you.
no, my pleasure. And I think you just reminded me because we talk about next level. Why is there always a next level? Because we are unlimited. That's the beauty of it. We are unlimited. So if we're unlimited, we don't want to have a ceiling, right? So
Yeah,
we
yeah,
want to be always growing. So there, people, I know you get tired with the whole spiritual work. Sometimes just thinking, can we just stop with the whole growth thing? I just want to stop. But, and then when you rest a little bit, it is a celebration. It's a celebration that you are unlimited. There are
yeah,
there's infinite possibilities. I want to see what these infinite possibilities are like. So I'm excited.
yeah,
Yes, it comes with its pain, but the
yeah.
pain is only, I think, your ego, your lower self feels the pain.
Mhm.
But your higher self, your soul, your spirit is celebrating the power that you essentially are.
Yes, yes. I feel like, and of course, I can't speak for all women, but we have this little scratchy or resistant to the word growth because it's such a, I receive it as such a masculine word because it's measurable and it's steps and it's planning and it's whatever. But
Ah,
if I replace it with expansion,
yeah, sure.
it's more fluid and more like, but even the words that you use like limitless, and it's just like the infinity of things.
Yeah.
And I don't even see like levels and steps anymore. Even that feels a little bit very calculated and I needed a plan.
Sure.
So it's just like I'm expanding
Yeah,
more and more and
exactly.
more and getting in a spaces with another human that goes in the same direction. It's just like we
Mm.
put the powers together and now a new energy was born, like, 40 minutes ago that never existed until now. So we expanded.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
We sure did.
whew,
Whew.
so good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I think I'm gonna wrap it here. And besides all the things that we put in a show notes for our readers to follow you, to follow your work, to contact you if they feel like it, to go and read your book. I want to invite you to close us with a invitation, advice, insight. What is it that you feel called to tell to this beautiful audience that are here today?
Mm. I'm going to once again ask for them to take a minute and ask the question to themselves. Ask them, who or what have you got on a pedestal? So you ask that question. Who or what have you got on the pedestal? Then the second thing is, who put it there? Who put it there? Right? Was it you or somebody else? And
Mhm,
then after that, why was it there? Why was it put there?
mhm.
And then after you come to that point, you realize you'll come to your own little ahas after you ask that question. Who or what was on the pedestal? Who put it there? Why is it there? And then what do I want from that point? And I think in a way that will open up further explorations, illuminations, revelations.
I mean, you just give us all another framework to look at the goddamn thing. So thank you for that. How beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you all for being here. And we will see you next time in the next space. Bye, everyone. And this is where we landed. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you are feeling inspired, empowered, and just a little bit more bare. If you enjoy the show, make sure to leave a review to let me know. For more bare experiences, go to simonaspark.com/bare and follow us on Instagram at Simona Spark World. I can't wait to have you back. Until then, be bare, bold, authentic, radical, expressed. See you next time.